what the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
How important is this project, and how will everyday users of the metro system benefit?
We've seen with the Azur that it did benefit users. There's more space, it works well. So I think it's normal at one point, just like we take care of our house, you can build other levels, other floors, but you always need to take care of the basement, right? The foundation, sorry. So this is exactly what we're doing. More efficient, less stops. That being said, there are other things needs to be done. Also, it's not only the new trains that will minimize incidents. We know that there's also human reasons why there's a lot of stops on the line in the subway. But I think it's really a good way to support the existing system, which is the skeleton of public transit here in the metropolitan area.
I'm sorry, have we run out of things for the mayor to talk about? I'm sorry, I don't understand what's going on here. I know she's talking about metro cars. I thought the whole story today was she would like to see the new metro cars built in La Pocatière. Jim, help me out. James Mennie, the Montreal Gazette. What?
As would we all, Aaron. You know, La Pocatière never gets the view that it deserves.
Here.
But let's face it, it's been spewing out metro cars since time immemorial. Listen, it'd be nice to say. I mean, it's good for her to express her opinion. She has zero say in where the contract gets awarded, and of course, the Quebec government right now will turn around and say, "Yeah, of course, that is our priority is to buy Quebec and whatever." But I think we're also talking about the long term. I think there's a lot of short term things that are going to have to come up first and be dealt with. But I got to tell you, apart from Madame la Mairesse, I'm hearing things today, Aaron, about this country's trade policies that were unheard of. And I got to tell you, the last 5 years, you and me, it's been a rough 5 years, buddy, between the pandemic and now. We have seen fundamental changes in how people shop, how they entertain themselves, how they go out, how they travel. And now, thanks to Donald J. Trump, nutcake extraordinaire, we have a system now. We've got politicians saying things today that would have been absolutely unheard of last week. So, Exhibit A, Quebec Environment Minister Benoit Charette. You know what he says? We were never that against the GNL Quebec project. The version that we saw didn't meet certain criteria, but we've always had a liking for it. We've always had a sort of a favorable prejudice for it. Now, this is a famous liquid natural gas. They're going to pipe it in to up in the Saguenay. They're going to build a terminal for liquid natural gas, and they're going to ship it down the fjord to the St. Lawrence to export overseas. This was unheard of, and here's the government going, I could see that happening. We wouldn't mind taking a look at that. That's Exhibit A. Exhibit B, Mark Carney, given a speech in Windsor. I don't know if you heard about this. Windsor, which is, of course, you can't get more on the front line of trade with the U.S. than Windsor. And he's there, and he's talking away, saying all the right things. I'm going to get rid of the carbon tax. We'll keep the dental plan and this and that. He goes, but things have changed. Americans now, they used to be our friends. The best we can hope for them to be now is our neighbors. And he goes, we have to change our view. We have to change how we do things. And the part that really knocked me out of my chair, buddy, is he goes, yeah, you know what? We should really think, with the permission of the provinces, to really look into exporting our energy overseas. Now, I'm very sorry for a federal Liberal to turn around and talk about, maybe you want to start shipping oil overseas, maybe you want to start shipping natural gas overseas. Even to broach it would have been heresy. And here we are talking about this like, well, maybe this is a good idea because perhaps people have figured out there are tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars to be made shipping our energy out overseas. And that policy has been, how can I put it, restrained. Others would say handcuffed. Others would say abused by the Trudeau government. So for Mark Carney to turn around and say this is a straight face, for Benoit Charette, I know he's a CAC minister, but still for Benoit Charette to turn around and say this with a straight face, don't be surprised if you start hearing more and more vernacular about how normal it would be and how smart it would be for this country, which has to diversify its trade to really take advantage of our natural resources, i.e. our hydrocarbons, and start shipping them around the world. As I say, this is something that, metaphorically speaking, politically, dude, I'm burned at the stake for saying this. And all of a sudden, I got two guys saying it at separate locations. Something's going on, buddy.
So what you're saying, Jim, if I understand it, is we should be saying thank you to Donald Trump.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Talk about shaking us out of our complacency. And I know it's been referred to as a wake-up call. And you know what? It was overdue. It was really overdue. And I remember even before Trump was on the horizon, when the election hadn't been decided, you and I were talking, and we said, you know what? It doesn't really matter because the Democrats are even bigger protectionists than the Republicans, okay? But the fact is, we have, and it's nobody's fault but our own, we have become too complacent, too lazy to diversify our trade profile. And listen, it's easier and perhaps more profitable and quicker. It's a quicker hit if you're just dealing. 70% of our trade is with the U.S. Guess what? You can see what happens when the wrong person gets in the wrong spot.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're doing sections not on what does it mean internationally or what's the world's opinion. No, will you lose your job? Okay, all of a sudden that is not a kind of abstract subject. This is for real stuff, and I think politicians are waking up to that. And don't be surprised if you don't see, as I say, more politicians talking like this. I was waiting after Charrette's comments this morning for a cascade of banshee-like screaming from the opposition. I have yet to see it. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but it is kind of funny that someone would have that much confidence to turn around and say something like that and presumably know that they're going to get away with it. Because I think a lot of people, actual Quebecers out there, probably agree with the guy.
I will say, Jim, it's interesting, and just to deal with the Valerie Plante thing, it's kind of, in a way, embarrassing for someone to figure, well, I better say something. Everyone else is saying something, so I'm going to speak up. And to throw up that MetroCard thing when, as you said, she has nothing to do with that decision, I just thought that was really disingenuous. But then again, that's me.
It's so funny because one of the first manifestations of our reaction to Trump's lunacy was, the FAQ and the LCBO, they're going to be taking American wine off their shelves and this and that. And I don't know if you recall a movie came out in the 60s called Oh, What a Lovely War. It was about World War I, but it was a musical. And one of the sort of satirical scenes was how these English aristocrats are turning around and saying, we no longer drink German wine. Because, there was a war on, but it was considered, it was so symbolic and so not really getting your hands dirty. Well, this is what's happening here. And indeed, since the tariffs were suspended for the time being, they're slamming those bottles back up on the shelves, So there's symbolic gestures, which anyone who listens to this show knows I feel are completely useless. And there's actually doing something. And I think the doing something is going to take longer than the cosmetic moves of, we'll get American products off our shelves and so on. The immediate thing that could have been done is Doug Ford might have said, you know what, I'm gonna keep canceling that Starlink contract with Elon Musk. And Quebec could have done the same, although they don't seem to have any plans to do so. But yeah, it's going to take a while. I think they're kind of walking through a political minefield. But right now, and you've seen it on the show, I'm seeing it everywhere on headlines. People have changed. People's attitudes have changed. And if there's one thing we can be thankful to Donald Trump for, it's for peeling back a layer of indifference that a lot of us have had about this country. And even our listeners, we're part of Canada. Well, guess what? We weren't quite as much a part of Canada, I think, 2 weeks ago as we are now. And the same thing with our Francophone neighbors. I mean, you've probably seen that joke on social media, how big Donald Trump screwed up. When you can get the Quebecois being proud Canadians, you've done something terribly, terribly wrong. But that's exactly what we're seeing.
So I will ask you, because this is the question I asked today. I saw most of Mark Carney's speech this morning. We're going to play some of it back when we come back. And I asked people, to me, and again, I always feel I have to preface this by saying I don't have a horse in this race. I don't care. I thought today, given the fact that we've not heard a whole lot from him, right? There have been a lot of photo ops showing up in a barn somewhere with Francois-Philippe Champagne or whatever. But today, that press conference in Windsor must have lasted over an hour, close to it. He answered questions. He didn't shy away from anything. And I thought for the first time that I thought this, he actually, to some degree, sounded, kind of, I hate to use the word, prime ministerial to me. Like, this guy knows his stuff. He's a business guy. He has global connections. I thought, wow, okay, he's the guy. What did you think? Did you see much of it?
I didn't see much of it. What I saw, though, and I don't want to seem too cynical, yes, right now, he's talking about the United States. He's talking about the Trump administration. But let's face it, every second of that speech today was targeting Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party of Canada. And, you've touched upon it very lately in the show because we don't know if they're outliers. The polls seem to be turning around very slowly, okay? Will that accelerate? Will exposure like this by Mark Carney, whose handlers obviously know how to play this, how to time this out, is that going to help the cause? I believe that it will, and we know for a fact. We've seen reports out of the Conservatives that they're on the back foot now, that they have to change their strategy, not just because they no longer have Trudeau to kick around, but because a lot of their strategy, their three-word slogan strategy, whether it's axe to tax, it's gone. The Liberals are saying, we're going to get rid of the tax, okay? Don't worry about it. So, yeah, they have nothing to do. And like I say, there's only one target for the federal Liberals, for the leadership candidates, it's Pierre Poilievre, and we saw a pretty good example of some precision bombing today.
By the way, you're right? We talked about that yesterday, but the whole idea, Pierre Poilievre, news from them is now sort of relegated to the inside pages, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
This is what he's getting. All right. Jim, thank you. Appreciate it.
Demain.